The crowd inside Studio 6B cheered the very moment Selena Gomez walked on stage, their voices blending into that warm, familiar wave that only happens when someone genuinely loved steps into the light. The house band played a welcoming, gentle tune, and Jimmy Fallon's smile set a soft, expectant atmosphere for the evening's conversation. Selena smiled in that quiet, signature way of hers, the soft, careful smile that always seems to hide just behind her eyes before it reaches her lips. She shook Jimmy's hand with grace, tucked a loose strand of hair carefully behind her ear, and settled into the large couch like she was intentionally trying not to take up too much physical space. Jimmy cracked a light, well-received joke about the perpetually unpredictable New York weather. Selena laughed easily, the audience echoed the sound, and for a moment everything felt completely typical, easy, bright, and perfectly safe. But halfway through their professional conversation, something subtle and profound shifted unexpectedly in the atmosphere. It was a whisper of palpable energy, a profound stillness that seemed to originate from the third audience row. A young girl, visibly young, maybe 17, kept nervously adjusting something small in her hands. The object was small and pink, held so tightly that her knuckles turned stark white against her skin. She wasn't laughing, she wasn't clapping. She was staring intently at Selena like there was a fragile clock, ticking loudly behind her ribs. Jimmy noticed the profound change first. His trademark smile instantly softened, replaced by curiosity and concern. "I think someone has something they urgently want to say." Selena immediately followed his focused gaze into the audience. The girl stood. She was clearly trembling, not with simple fear of the crowd, but with something far heavier, grief that had been carried heavily and too long. She stepped slowly into the aisle, her eyes visibly glassy, her breath profoundly unsteady. The studio fell into that extremely rare kind of silence, where even sound is afraid to interrupt the moment. "Hi, darling," Selena said gently, leaning forward with deep empathy, completely unarmored. The girl swallowed hard, the sound audible. "My name is Marina." Her voice cracked visibly on the second syllable of her own name. I brought something very important for you." She lifted her hand slightly, revealing the object. It was a small, pink voice recorder. It looked old, covered in faded childish stickers, stars, hearts, and a chipped butterfly. Selena's face changed instantly, not with shock, but with deep recognition, like she intimately knew what it meant to hold something that fragile and significant. Marina climbed slowly down the steps, one slow, careful breath at a time, until she stood just a few feet from Selena at the edge of the stage. She held out the worn recorder with both hands, the weight of the moment immense. This belonged to my sister," Marina said, her voice profoundly trembling. "Her name was Luna. She loved you more than anyone in the world." Selena's eyes softened completely, almost afraid to physically touch the fragile device and the memories it contained. "Was?" Marina nodded, her lips shaking visibly. She passed away suddenly last year." The entire room froze with the devastating realization. "She was sick for a very long time," Marina whispered, the memory raw, "but she kept persistently writing songs. Even when she was too weak and couldn't get out of bed anymore, she kept working. This specific recorder..." Marina looked down at the device like it physically hurt her to recall. "This was her last song. She didn't manage to finish it." Selena reached out slowly, her hands moving as if the recorder were entirely made of delicate glass and irreplaceable memories. When her fingers finally closed around the warm, worn plastic, her breath immediately caught in her chest, holding the moment. Marina continued, her voice barely audible, compelled by the promise. She always said, clearly and often, "If I can't finish it, maybe Selena will somehow." Jimmy looked away from the direct action, blinking quickly and visibly to regain his composure. Selena stared intently at the recorder in her hands, the emotional weight of it anchoring her physically in place. "Do you truly want me to listen to it right now?" Marina nodded, her eyes pleading. please, I need you too." Selena took a centering breath and slowly pressed the play button on the old device. A soft, immediate crackle filled the massive studio speakers. A shaky, audible inhale followed. Then a young girl's voice emerged, fragile, thin, but undeniably full of determined hope. "Okay. This is idea number 12. I'm going to try to get it right this time, just for you." A quiet, simple melody began. It was thin, slightly breathless, but beautiful. Words stumbled and fell apart, halfway through the short sentences, incomplete thoughts. "If the moon forgets to shine, I'll be your light tonight." Then a sudden hard coughing fit, a muffled gasp for air, and then only silence. The tape had run out. Selena instantly covered her mouth with her hand, suppressing a sob. Her eyes filled immediately with tears. Marina's voice broke completely. She wanted so desperately to finish it. She really, truly did. Selena looked at her, not as a world-famous celebrity, but as someone who intimately understood what it meant to lose pieces of yourself and your dreams too soon. "Marina," she whispered, her voice thick with shared emotion, "can I try something else right now?" Marina nodded instantly, tears streaming down her face, giving full permission. The pianist in the roots, sensing the depth of the moment, gently laid a single soft, trembling chord under the silence. Selena closed her eyes, centering herself completely. She inhaled, she deliberately exhaled. Then she began to sing, not loudly, not with forced power, not perfectly, but with a profound softness that sounded like the melody had been patiently waiting for this moment to surface. "If the moon forgets to shine, I'll be your light tonight. If your voice gets lost in time, I'll be the echo left behind." Marina immediately sobbed openly into her hands, the sound raw and uncontrolled. Jimmy instantly stepped away from the desk, moving to the side of the stage, his hand held tightly over his heart. Audience members throughout the room openly cried, the vulnerability contagious and real. Selena kept singing, her voice warm, full, and completely breaking all at once with the emotion of the completion. "You didn't finish the song, the melody, but your beautiful heart wrote every single line. Luna, your specific melody is here now. It's alive. I'm just giving it an ending. That was already perfectly and completely yours." She let the final note hang in the air, suspended like a fragile breath between two different worlds. Then, she immediately stepped down the final step from the stage and wrapped Marina in her arms. Marina clung tightly to her, shaking uncontrollably, whispering thank you over and over into Selena's shoulder. Selena pulled back just enough to look her deeply and steadily in the eyes. "This wasn't my ending, Marina," she said softly, her voice carrying absolute conviction. "It was always hers. I just helped it finally find its way home to be heard." She gently placed the pink recorder back into Marina's hands, carefully closing her sister's fingers around the old device. "Keep it safe, and whenever you truly miss her presence," Selena whispered, her voice breaking slightly, "listen carefully. She's definitely still singing the part only you can hear." Studio 6B did not cheer, did not applaud, did not move. They stood in total, absolute silence, a tribute, a profound prayer, a shared, respectful heartbeat. Jimmy looked at Selena and Marina, his eyes glistening intensely. He didn't speak the final words, allowing the profound silence to speak instead. And for the very first time in a very long time, Marina's trembling features broke. She smiled. A small, perfect, trembling smile. The kind Luna would have instantly recognized and been fiercely proud of. The segment instantly became one of the most unexpected, emotional, and shared moments in the history of The Tonight Show. It wasn't about celebrity. It was about the eternal promise of creative love. Selena Gomez kept the memory of Luna's song close, saying the experience fundamentally changed how she approached writing her own music. She realized that sometimes the most profound songs are the ones that remain technically unfinished. The melody she completed for Luna became known only to her and the family, a secret, sacred gift. Marina found unexpected, deep closure through the shared public completion of the music. The recorder, once a painful relic, became a permanent symbol of her sister's lasting hope. She understood that her sister's final wish was not a burden, but a final gift of melody. Jimmy Fallon never forgot the quality of that silence. He learned that the most vital parts of the show happen when the plan is entirely abandoned. The emotional resonance of the completed song proved that true artistic expression finds its necessary outlet, regardless of physical limitations. The final note hung in the air, a permanent, beautiful echo within the history of the studio. It was a testament to the belief that the music we leave behind is the strongest part of our legacy. Marina left the studio carrying the recorder and a new, unbreakable piece of peace. The pain of the loss was still there, but now it was wrapped in a completed melody. She finally understood what Luna meant, that even when the voice is lost, the light can remain. Selena's performance that night was not about her vocal range or fame. It was about her immense capacity for empathy and her willingness to be vulnerable on command. She became the vessel for a final, necessary act of love. The pink recorder, with its faded stickers, now rests in a place of honor in Marina's home. She plays the short clip often, never tiring of hearing Luna's initial hope and Selena's final, gentle completion. The memory serves as a reminder that the best collaborations are the ones forged by necessity and affection, and that sometimes the greatest artistic purpose is simply to help someone else finish their final, important song. The entire studio was changed by the sudden power of a single, small, pink object. It was a masterclass in how melody can transcend the boundaries of life and death, and that even a fragile, forgotten voice can be heard, if the right person is willing to listen and provide the echo. The segment proved that compassion is often the final, necessary instrument in a beautiful, broken composition. Luna's melody was finally complete. The screen faded to a silent, abrupt black, leaving the profound silence to linger. Jimmy slowly walked back to his desk, pulling the microphone close. He looked out at the audience, his expression serious, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice thick with emotion, resonating with unexpected depth. "Tonight, we witnessed the power of a promise kept across worlds. We saw that sometimes, the greatest pop stars are just people who are good listeners, attuned to frequencies beyond the music charts. And that the music that matters the most is not the hit single, but the music that profoundly heals." Selena, still standing beside Marina, nodded quietly, confirming the sentiment. Luna's song found its way to everyone who needed to hear it, exactly when it was meant to, she whispered, her voice finding strength in the shared vulnerability. That is the purest definition of a successful song and a successful life. The applause finally broke, a soft, respectful sound, not thunderous, but deep and resonant with shared tears. It was the sound of recognition for a sacred truth revealed, a tribute to the quiet moment. Selena took Marina's hand, gripping it firmly, and together they walked slowly off the stage. The pink recorder's final message was delivered, heard, and completed. And in the silence that followed, the studio finally rested, the energy purified by the truth. The story of Luna's song became an internal legend at The Tonight Show, a benchmark for genuine human connection. The crew members often spoke of the moment the piano chord dropped beneath Selena's voice, perfectly timed. They said it was the most perfect timing they had ever witnessed, proving that art can truly be guided by an invisible force of love. Selena often tells the story of Luna to her band and to emerging songwriters. She uses it to illustrate that emotional honesty and vulnerability are the highest forms of musical achievement and purpose. Marina, profoundly inspired by the event, dedicated her career to music therapy, working with children who struggled to express their deepest feelings through traditional speech. She carried Luna's recorder constantly, wearing it as a physical reminder that every voice, no matter how fragile, deserves a powerful echo.